I'm Phil.
Welcome to our Mudlarking Happy Hour.
Yes, indeed.
And it's not live show again this week. We will be with you live next week. We're still over in France and we're in the chat. So even though this isn't really us, we're filming this like over a week ago. We're in the chat tonight, hopefully as long as the internet is working. So we can join in with what you're saying. If you talk to us and we don't answer, we're not ignoring you. We're having trouble with the internet, but we are going to try and be in the chat tonight.
We are. I love Caroline's confidence. She said, we are in the chat. And then she thinks, let me just give ourselves some space here. The internet is not brilliant. And actually, it's down to which of the locations we're in. We're always around the lake. We always book around the lake, but you get better signal one place than another. And we often find that, as we mentioned last week, we'll be outside.
Yes.
As long as the weather's good, sat at the table on the deck, because that's always outdoors. We get better signal than inside the box. So that's where we should be, sat on our veranda.
Hopefully when we get back, the plan is we got 2 weekends to go to the Brockhorns, and a lot of you really enjoyed seeing us to go around the Brockhorns and having a look at what we bought. So we're going to try doing that again during this break, and we'll let you know how we get on.
And I'm hoping to do a bit of French history.
Oh yes, it's a very nice chateau nearby.
There's a chateau. Well, it's a bit of a ride, but if we can get there, it's world famous.
It
folks.
is.
Yeah, even there are rumours that Michael Jackson wanted to buy it.
There are.
And they said no.
So it must be nice if Michael Jackson wanted to buy it.
Yeah, and if I can get there and film it for you, I will. But we'll definitely get a video together and hopefully a couple of videos together for you when we get back. Because obviously, the videos we've put out, we're going to France with no videos in the bank, and we get back, and 2 days later we've got to put one out.
Yeah, so I'm
got to do something.
Working like mad when I get back to edit the video for you. But anyway, you haven't come here to hear us moaning that we haven't got a video.
No.
You've come here to see our finds.
And everything tonight, even though pre-recorded, is totally linked to the video you've just watched.
Last night.
Yeah, because it's digging at the dump. Now, that is something.
We don't usually dig, as you know.
I took a shovel once and just had a bit of a scrape around, but never really had a go at digging in and excavating things. I was just seeing what was below the surface. And we had some fun.
We did.
I hope you had fun with us. And if you haven't seen the whole video yet, well, you've got lots to look forward to.
Yes.
Indeed. And double visits of friends.
Yes.
Because we had the first inaugural annual brick swap.
Yes, quite exciting.
Yes. Me and John.
Yes.
But fair play, you can do an event with John because he is an avid collector of bricks.
Oh, yes.
Isn't he, Mary? And although you didn't see Mary on camera, you did hear her laughing quite a lot as we were getting excited about our bricks. In fact, I think you heard both the ladies behind the camera laughing quite hysterically at our brick swap. But we had a wonderful time. Lovely to meet them. We had a great morning out, and who knows, maybe there'll be more of us next year.
Could be. This could grow huge. People could be coming from all over the planet, bringing their bricks for the brick swap.
And of course, that was recorded. So was our visit, because we mentioned this a week or two ago, that we had actually been that week out with Lynn and Graham, and there we were with them having a lovely walk on the canal.
It was so pretty that morning.
It was. We had a lovely day, and it was just amazing.
Yep.
It was. It was a lovely, lovely time.
It's always nice to spend time with friends, have a chat, catch up.
And of course, because of the situation we were in, which was our car dilemma.
The car seems to have been the main focus of conversation for weeks now.
But the amazing thing was, we were en route from the garage back to our place, and en route meant we passed their hotel, and their hotel was literally 3 minutes from where we filmed that. That well, you could see on the film with the traffic, it is right there on the main road.
It was a bit noisy in the place we were. If you went a lot further, it was really quiet. You were going into the countryside, but the bit we were in was quite noisy.
Well, at the beginning, but we did get away from the traffic.
Yes.
When we got up under the railway bridge, we were a little bit further away, and people could enjoy the piece of the time up there with the Duck Olympics. So we had a good time, but we've got things to share. Ooh, look.
And I'm going to show you.
She's got a jar with a lid.
Look at that. Now, doesn't that look a perfect match? And it's that teapot lid I found.
I'm impressed with that lid.
It cleaned it's not perfectly clean, obviously, it's rather grubby, but
as I cleaned
the colours are nice and clear.
Yeah, I was surprised. It's a very simple affair, but it's not something I've seen on a teapot. And the inside of that lid.
Oh yeah, you want to show?
Yeah, because that's a fair weighty thing. That's quite an old lid, I think.
Yeah.
I really do, and the depth and weight.
But look at that. It's not supposed to be in that jar, but it fits perfectly. Yeah. I think that looks really at home.
Somebody actually left a comment.
Did they?
Yeah, a week or so ago, somebody left a comment saying that, they said, you probably already know this, but I think it's the Northern Mudlarks, they said, use teapot lids on ridge pottery jars, marmalade jars. And which, so they do it there. But I was just, as I was washing, I was amazed that was a perfect fit. I don't think we've got one of those here at the moment.
No, I can't see one around. They're all down the shed now, so.
But because of the colour scheme and the marks on it, it actually fits with the dirty jar. Because that jar is clean. That's
as clean as it's going to come with a normal wash.
Yeah, that's, what do they call it? What's the word for what? That's sick.
Oh, yeah, it is.
The glass is sick.
The glass is damaged, they call it sick.
Yeah, so it's got that discolouring, but the lid works.
Yeah, it does.
And see the depth on it, it changes that there, doesn't it?
Yep. Darkens the colour.
I was impressed.
Where were you?
I was. I put it in there to carry it down, to make it easier, and I thought, ooh.
That's really good.
I'm impressed.
Do you have a find for us?
Do I have a find?
You bet if you have a find that's related to a question.
I may have, because actually I've got a jar here that's cleaned up a little bit better than yours. That's that jar. Now you say, Phil, that may be a little bit better, but it's not very good. There's a very good reason for that, and that is I was trying my best not to destroy the label on the front, because this raised some excitement when we realised that we had a ginger marmalade jar. Caroline does like her ginger, and you started reminiscing about ginger and rhubarb, was it, and camping and all sorts. There we go. So I didn't want to damage the label, so I've been very gentle cleaning that because it was rather dirty. Tell.
Good job though.
Yeah, and there'll be a few others with labels on tonight for you to see, but for the moment there's the first one with a label, and we've got a question to go with it.
Right, let's have a question.
Okay, for those who couldn't see on the label, the name on the top was Keeler. And Keeler are very well connected with the whole marmalade world. They are the beginnings of the industry that was mass-produced marmalade. And in 1797, that's a fair way ago, isn't it? 1797, admittedly,
you were only 4 then.
Little bit later than Shipham's, but in the same century, Janet Keeler made the first batch of marmalade after her grocer husband bought a distressed cargo. I can imagine the cargo went, oh, I'm distressed. In other words, they were on the turn, I think. I think they needed to get rid of him, and he got a real good bargain. And he was happy with this bargain, but then he thought, what do I do with all of these oranges? They were Seville oranges, so they weren't the sort you could just pop out and let everyone eat. And he picked them up at the arbour, got a bargain, and the rest, as they say, is history, because this lady just started cooking and made marmalade. What I want to know is, which port did he collect them from, and where were they when they actually made their marmalade? Were they A, at Liverpool,
right,
B, Cardiff, or C, Dundee? What are you thinking, folks? What are you thinking? Are you thinking Liverpool, that's an English port? Cardiff, was in the day a massive port here in Wales? Or Dundee, up there, we've stayed in Dundee. Scotland, we've stayed in the Premier Inn in Dundee.
We did.
We did indeed.
And Dennis the Menace is in town.
We were there, actually, in big independence vote. Because I remember waking up and Dundee had voted to leave. And I said, I woke up in an independent Dundee. So there. Yep, we've been to Dundee. We've also been to Cardiff lots and lots of times.
And we've been to Liverpool. We have. Live in Liverpool. Well, near Liverpool.
Yeah, we lived in Rainhill, which is on the very borders of Liverpool. We used to go down to... We saw the map was it Fred's map down in the water where he used to jump around and do the weather? I remember that. What do you think? We know them all well.
Right, I've made my guess.
Okay, folks. Oh, you got it wrong.
I got it
Oh,
wrong.
I can't believe that.
I'm not going for the obvious one.
Right.
I thought, nope, I'm not going for the obvious one. You're going to catch me out. I know you.
Did you go for the obvious one? What is obvious to you? Because Caroline thinks that the right answer is obvious and she didn't get it. Well, I'll tell you now. Caroline thinks that Dundee is the obvious one. Because Dundee is the right answer. How many of you out there, if you don't go mudlarking, how many of you seen ourselves and others hold up those white jars with the printing on, and they've got Dundee marmalade made in Scotland?
That's, you know what it feels like. That's too easy. There's no way it's going to be Dundee.
It is! So if you put C for Dundee, and I know it doesn't begin with a C, but you know what I mean, pat on the back, folks.
Well
I'll
done.
be checking in the chat, and as long as we've got the internet, I'll be typing the 3 correct answers for first, second, and third. But thank you to everyone who had a go, and well done to those who got it right. It was Dundee. That's where Janet Keeler went busy. Can you imagine? They must be working day and night to cook all that.
I brought you 3 10 of oranges.
Because from what I can understand, what was different was they just decided to chop them up and chuck them in. Skins and all. Skins and all. And I don't think that was something that was happening. But they just had to get them used up. And that became the thing then. They created something which just went ballistic because they had a fantastic business out of it.
Now, I'm not a fan of orange marmalade or lemon marmalade, but I do love lime marmalade.
And there we are. You heard it,
Go on then in the chat if you want to get chatting amongst everybody, each other. What do you like? You like orange, lime, lemon, or... I don't think there is another type of marmalade that I know of. Do you know of another type of marmalade?
Oh, you can get it with ginger in. Because we got the jar. It was ginger, and they would have
jam
added,
I had with rhubarb.
They would have added the ginger to the marmalade, I would imagine. I'm not a marmalade fan. When I always visited my dear old friend who was no longer with us, if I went for breakfast, it was always toast and jam, and I was a blackcurrant jam man on my toast.
You give me thick melted butter and then thick lime marmalade on the top of my toast. Perfection.
I tell you what, this is starting to get a foodie programme.
We do love to talk about food though. I bet you the chat is going bonkers at the moment with food talk.
Last week, has anybody tried Camp Coffee since last week? There's the question, and if so, yuck or yay, because it was a yay for me. I don't know what they put in it, but it certainly tasted good. So there we go. We had coffee last week. Lime marmalade recommendations for you to try this week. I wonder if we're going to be like, who's that lady that used to boil eggs?
Delia Smith.
She wrote a book, didn't she, how to boil an egg.
You could never be like Delia Smith.
She actually
She's haven't got the hair for it.
That's because you chopped it all off. She actually turned around one day and said, cranberries are so good for you. And all the supermarkets in Britain sold out.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of cranberries.
No, but
nobody
was until she mentioned them, and then
cranberry juice. I tried cranberry juice. I go, I like orange juice, like apple juice. Let's try cranberry juice. Wasn't for me.
So there we go. If you've tried Camp Coffee since last week, let me know in the chat what you thought, because I was well impressed and surprised. I thought I wasn't going to like it. But 1 teaspoon in that cup, I liked it.
Magic.
Well, you've got a mushroom.
Yes, I haven't got a mushroom. I've got a very pretty jar. And I've got a glass paste pot. And I just thought, I love mushrooms. And this time of year, it tends to, I think a lot about mushrooms. I know, very strange. It's because they're starting to grow. You go for walks and you see the toadstools and things. And I thought, if that's the bottom and that could be the top, and I could either leave it as a glass mushroom or I could paint it up. What would you do? Would you paint that up? Would you just stain it so you could still see through it but make it a little bit more brown? Or would you leave it clear? Or was that the first option I gave you? Paint, stain, or leave clear? I've forgotten. That was a very long sentence. So I'm really not sure what to do, but I like that. I think it's really nice.
Now, that top pot,
top pot
would have held meat paste. And here's a little bit of interesting information.
Oh, just a second before I give you a little bit of information. I suppose it would look okay as a mushroom like that, because you've got these that almost look like the gills on a mushroom, even though really they'd be up there. Anyway, sorry.
Fatter one?
Oh, did I interrupt you? I know I did interrupt you. There we go.
Oh, that's good.
It does, doesn't it? Right, I'm going
No.
to keep an eye out for more of those.
The point I was going to make is that pot that Caroline has there held paste. This is Shipham's. These were the guys who started it all 1750. Vast numbers of companies produced paste and decided to mimic the pots that were made by Shipham's. But Prince's didn't.
No, they were individuals.
They were. And let me tell you something.
Oh,
Here's
go on,
something
then.
interesting.
Tell us something interesting. Should I sit down? Is it shocking?
No.
It's just interesting.
It's interesting.
Right.
Prince's eventually bought out Shipham's.
Oh.
So, sometimes...
Individuality won.
Yeah, but...
Did they then change the jars?
Then they started putting their paste in these jars, because if you pick up Prince's paste or Shipham's paste today, they'll be in this shaped jar, but with a plastic wrap on it. So there we go. Little bit of knowledge here, look.
Right, should we have another question?
Go on then.
There we go.
Now, something we do pick up quite a few of down on the dump, as we pointed out, are Hazelwood sauce bottles.
We do.
We've always
Lots.
found them, we found lots of them. And the other week I brought one home, but on this occasion, even when we dug the hole, we found two. So, I'm going to ask a Hazelwood question.
Ooh.
I thought I should. We keep finding his bottles, and I think William Hazelwood is starting to feel neglected.
Oh, we wouldn't want that.
I don't think he feels his achievements as the founder of Hazelwoods are being recognised.
Right, let's recognise him tonight.
I will. William Hazelwood, the founder of Hazelwood's Foods, was born...
Was he?
He was.
I was born as well.
Were you? But not in 1883.
No.
1883. In 1902, he collected jam jars from neighbours in a handcart and then made pickles and jam and put them in the jars and sold them back off his handcart.
Very enterprising.
Yeah. So if you do the maths, he was 24. No, he wasn't. I can't. He was 19.
19. Getting younger every year.
If you do the maths and you know how to do maths and you're not as tired as me, he was 19. 19 years of age, handcart, got any empty jars, take them home, wash them, fill them with jam, fill them with pickles, take them back out, flog them. That's where he started. And now our dump is full of bottles with his name on, which I think is quite impressive.
It is.
Yes. In fact, by 1904, so now he's just 21, I'm in the groove now, I've got my maths
you're
now.
good now.
He had a green grocery business to retail the products that he was now making. So he didn't open a greengrocers to sell everybody else's stuff. I'm sure he supplemented his own products with it, but now he had a business selling out his own goods. And in 1916, come on, do the maths. If he was 21, 1904, he's now 33. He has established Hazelwood's Foods. Hazelwood and Company was now a major production, sending stuff all over the United Kingdom, at least, because they were down here in Wales. What I want to know is in which county was that company founded? Where did William Hazelwood start his business? Which county? Was it A, Yorkshire, B, Derbyshire, or C, Lancashire?
Right, I know what I'm going for. Ah! I'm wrong.
What are you thinking, folks? Go for
I
it.
thought I'd heard this one somewhere and I
if you
obviously
think it's
hadn't.
Yorkshire, it's A. If you think it's Derbyshire, it's B. If you think it's Lancashire, it's C. All those are sort of there or thereabouts, kind of same part of the world. We're not giving you like Dundee, Cardiff and Liverpool, very distinct. We're in that sort of central belt. But which one do you think he was in? That's the question. Are you going to go Yorkshire with an A? Are you going to go Derbyshire with a B? Or are you going to go Lancashire with a C?
While we're waiting for your answers to come in, just to let you know, if you've just arrived or you've arrived recently, this is a not live show. We're not actually here. We're actually in France, but we're in the chat, hopefully, as long as the internet's working. So if you chat to us in the chat, and if you get a reply, you know we're there.
That's right. And the only difference is that we are not reading the chat and replying you in person. It's not that we're being ignorant. There isn't any chat yet. Okie doke. Here we go. What did you think? Well, obviously, Caroline didn't think the correct answer.
No.
No. What did you go for, dear?
I went for Yorkshire.
There we go. So if you went for Yorkshire...
I heard somewhere about it starting in Yorkshire, but I must be thinking of the wrong company.
Yep, there we go. If you went for Yorkshire, like Caroline, you're mistaken. And hopefully the Lancashire Mudlarks know it wasn't Lancashire. Because if they went with their home county, then they're going to be wrong too. Because it's actually Derbyshire. So, folks, if you went B for Derbyshire, well done. Pat yourself on the back. Your names will go in the chat as soon as I see who's first, second and third. Well done to you all. If you got Derbyshire. I love these stories though of people that went out and just had a go and done something.
Yeah.
You know, it was a little bit like that, I suppose. Not on the same scale. But at one point, Caroline just turned round. We needed work and Caroline decided, right, that's it. What have I got to sell on eBay? And the next thing we knew, for 10 years, we had a business running on eBay that was turning over a proper living wage, which was fantastic. But you had to start. So if you've got an idea, if there's something in your head, have a go. You never know. And the beauty with eBay, a bit like this chap then, he went out, he got the jars off his neighbours and then sold them back with stuff in. If you can keep the overheads low, because there's always a risk. If you put a lot of money out there and you haven't got it, you could end up in trouble. But the beauty for us with eBay was we started by selling things we already owned and then took the money and used it to buy things in car boots to sell, etc. If you could start something like he did, if you've got an idea, gosh, we got a guy around here and he makes a real good living. Do you know what he has? A ladder, a chamois and a bucket. And he gets his hot water from the houses he's cleaning the windows in, and he's been going now for years and he's got a real good business going. I always love it when people have an idea, but this chap...
We have to say, as daft as it sounds, that this isn't financial advice. We're not financial advisors because otherwise you just get into all sorts of trouble. We're just saying what we did.
Yeah, we're just encouraging you to have a go if you want to.
But don't if you don't.
That's right, it's entirely your choice. Anyway, what have we got to show?
Right, let's have a look. I've got my jar I went into the water for. Oh, this washed up nicely. Let's just clean this up now. I saw it there and I thought, oh, that does look like a Pond's jar, but it's not a Pond's jar.
No, it's got that funny lettuce on the bottom.
Yes, it is. Let's read it out to you. It's...
X... Is it XOVV?
Ah, wait a minute. Is it a date? It's VX. That's not... No, there's no O in the date in Roman numerals, is it? So it's... I'm not sure which way it is. It couldn't be because it is no O.
It's got to be that way with the V's.
VXOVV.
Yes,
anybody know what that is?
Well,
if I turned
you wouldn't have an O, would you?
No, so it's not Roman numerals. So does anybody...
VXOVV, what is that?
VXOVV.
You these adverts, it's 0 with an X. And I'm thinking they really were ahead of their time. But
yeah, VXOVV. So there we go, it's a jar of VXOVV.
But what I found...
I'm sure it did wonders for whatever it was you rubbed it in.
What I found interesting about that pot is that was ponking.
It was, stinking ponking.
That had been in the river for a time, it was slimed up and really stinking. But it cleaned up just under hot water and a brush really quickly because the milk glass really cleans up a lot easier than glass.
It doesn't scratch as easily, I don't think, as a clear glass, because I know you can't tell, but if you look at it in the light, you can see it's really got a sheen to it that you haven't got on all bottles. If you find those and they've been in the water a while, generally they're badly scratched. So I think that's what it is. What do you reckon? Am I right or am I wrong? That milk glass is tougher than normal glass?
Excellent question. It does look strong. That one doesn't look as strong.
No, poor thing.
That's had a bit of a bump. But generally they do survive.
Yeah.
It's very thick, mind. I think that's one of the reasons they survive. Look at the base on that. They're very thick.
Look at that. I could turn everything into a mushroom tonight. That's a little mushroom house. I painted the lid and put a little door there. Some little bits of trees and things there.
And it covers the
split, vine over the top.
Covers the crack.
Yep, so there we go. Oh, shame the crack. Wait a minute. Now we're talking. I'll put it that way round. It's a little door. My mushroom with the fairies to get in and out.
No, I tell you what. Design on the dump, now developed in the live show. I tell you. Inspiration, folks. You can't put a price on it.
I always do this. So if I get something, I'll buy something to do my craft with, and I look at it and I think, So I think, right, next thing I do is I turn it on its side, turn it upside down, spin it around, because quite often something that looks like, I can't think of anything to do, turn it upside down, think, So there we go. Upside down, that makes a little fairy door.
Here's some other items I picked up, which I hope to use in craft. because thank you to everyone who has been saying very nice things about my slate representation of the Lost Village, and also for my representation of the Standing Stones in 2 previous videos. But we did find 2 pieces of slate. That's a cracking piece that I'm sure I can make use of. There.
It's in focus as well.
Yeah, and this one, I think that way it down. That'll make a lovely plate to do a painting on or something. It's just got that gorgeous edge. We knew a young man, and he used to do house numbers. So something like that, you know, if you had a double number or even a triple number, you could put like 192 on there, and then he'd paint it on with a little design in the corner and just drill 2 holes and pop it on the front of the house.
Yep.
So that's something they used to do, and but you'd have to live in number 1 to use that. Really.
What about theme number 3?
I like slate. It's got such a gorgeous texture, such a lovely colour, and it's typically Welsh. Welsh slate is prized around the world, and it's jolly expensive these days. It was so cheap when they built the terraces 100 years ago.
Quite often it's the case. Like, we've got lots of houses that have got dressed stone. You know, some are built with rough stone. They just quarried the stone, broke it up, built the houses. Some are actually shaped it into squares and rectangles, and that's called dressed stone.
Today, it would
now, can you imagine trying to build a house in dressed stone? It would cost you a ridiculous amount of money.
It would. Shall I show my bricks? I got a question related to my brick.
Let's have a look.
And I know Leanne will have been sat there waiting for the word brick.
Yes, she's already well oiled after those 2 references.
She must have enjoyed the video.
Oh, yes.
We did a brick swap, and I'm sure Leanne was thrilled. Leanne plays a drinking game. Every time I say brick, she has a drink.
Yes.
Which I would not advise.
No.
Definitely. That'd be worse than financial advice. So here we go, folks. Here's the brick. J. Lancaster and Co. Well pleased to find that, because I've never found that one before. It is a local Welsh company. Nantiglo. Nantiglo, over by Bryn Mawr. Now, you'll have heard of Bryn Mawr, won't you, folks? Because we often talk about Bryn Mawr with various things. And, of course, my big botanical brewery flagon that was in pieces that I rebuilt entirely. Gorgeous find, one of my favourites. That was Bryn Mawr. Well, this is Nantiglo, which is near Bryn Mawr. That's where they come from. And I've got a question related to it. The quality of research here, I tell you, sometimes it astounds me.
Does it?
Yeah, because when I was looking at first I could not find anything on this brick. Then I found this.
You found that on the brick?
No.
That piece of paper was just lying there?
No, this is information. You can tell it's off the internet because I've got a little X up there. It's a notice offering a £1 reward. And can you see who's offering the £1 reward? Messrs J. Lancaster and Co. Limited, Nantiglo and Blaenau Collieries, Train. So, they're the brickworks, they're collieries, and they're trains. And he was not happy.
No, he was sad, was he?
He was not happy.
Oh.
£1 reward will be given to any person or persons who will give evidence that will lead to the conviction of any person who to be found riding on the footboards of the colliers' train coaches or opening the doors after the coaches have alighted whilst the train is in motion. All persons entitled to travel by the colliers' train of J. Lancaster and Co. Limited are requested to observe the following paragraph. No person shall knowingly cause or suffer to be done any act whatsoever whereby the lives of the workmen may be endangered.
Ooh, he was serious.
Ooh, I tell you, he wasn't very happy. I actually read an article that says he got the police to raid the train.
Yeah.
Caught 40 people who hadn't paid.
Phew.
So he was upset. They were getting free rent. Now, ultimately the train was going there anyway, and it wasn't actually costing him anything, but he was very annoyed because obviously he wanted to make the money from selling tickets on his train.
And if they got away with it, everybody would get away with it, and nobody would
And
pay.
it was getting to the point that was happening. And it seems there was an awful lot of vandalism on trains as well. People were not treating them with much respect.
No.
So he was cross. He was so cross, he offered a phenomenal reward of £1. Now you say, Phil, that doesn't sound like a phenomenal reward. it does when you realise that was put up in 1894. If that sign was to go up today, which of these do you think it would read? What do you think £1 would be worth now? A, do you think it would be a reward of £60? B, do you think the reward would be £120? Or C, do you think the reward would be £180 and be equivalent to just £1 all those years ago?
Oh, it's a
Go.
difficult one. I know what I'm going for.
Now,
Got it
this
wrong
is,
again.
this is very in the groove. This
In
is
the groove.
up to date. This is topical.
Topical.
Because, of course, around the world at the moment, many countries are seeing inflation. And in our country, it has gone over 10%, which basically means that by the end of this year, if it stayed at 10%, then our pound would be 10 pence less in value than it was when it comes to spending power. Now, that varies around the world. I believe Japan are doing really well. They're down at 2%, but a lot of their energy is nuclear, so they haven't been hit by the oil crisis. So it varies in different countries. But all of our money over the years loses value. A dollar isn't worth what a dollar was once worth. A pound is certainly not worth what a pound was once worth. So it's an interesting topical question. Where do you think it would be? Have you gone for A, £60, B, £120, or C, £180? What did you think would be on that poster now if you were to get a reward for shopping your friends for right? And I have mentioned before about the youngsters in Bristol, where I used to live, jumping on the boards on the outside of the door and hanging on all the way to Bargain to get a free ride on the outside of the
Which
train.
you should never do. I will say it's a very, very silly thing to do.
Absolutely,
So
no,
don't ever get tempted by that
It's more
sort
than
of thing.
silly. It's life-threatening and
Yes.
dangerous.
Don't
But these
do it.
people did it in order to get a free ride on the train, and if they did, and somebody saw them, they could earn £1.
Right, so what was the answer?
Today, folks, that would be £120.
Mad, isn't it? 120 times more than it was then.
What you could buy for £1 in 1894 would now cost you £120. So probably, what are you looking at? What would cost £120 now? I suppose to some families, a family of 4, week shopping. Week shopping now would probably cost about £120 for a family. Family then, week shopping, they probably spend less than £1 because they eat out less than us. But you can see the balance. If you know something that costs 120 quid now, it would have cost you £1 back then.
I
So
went
there we
for
go.
the big amount.
You went for the big one.
180.
Well, if you went with Caroline, sorry folks, you're wrong. But if you did go down the middle with the B, you did well. Pat on the back. And I'll get your names in the chat as long as we got internet, because you got it right. So well done, and
Congratulations.
thanks for having a go. Right, what else we got to look at?
Let's have a look at some more. I'll show your dugout bottle.
Oh, yes.
Look at this. I love this. Boots the Chemist. I just love that font on the boots.
They still use that
They
font,
do,
don't
yeah.
they?
But
They've
it's so
stuck with it.
identifiable. I think
They've
they'd be mad to give that up.
Yeah, now be very careful of that, because there is water in the bottom.
Yep.
I don't want to go on your computer and I'll get in trouble for that. I could blow it up.
Yes.
But yeah, it's almost like the M for McDonald's or anything else, isn't it? That is their
And
trademark.
even though they change the colour, there's still the identifiable
Script.
2 arches, I think they call it, isn't it, on the thing? But
The golden arches used to be,
Yeah.
wasn't it? So
So
there we
Boots
go.
the Chemist.
Boots the Chemist. Now
I wonder
that
what was in that. Because I would imagine this was, you know, they had the jar, the big bottles full of different things, and
And then
then
they
like you get
decant.
a prescription from the doctor, or you go and you say, I've got a cough, and they cough medicine in, or lung tonic,
pop a
something
cork
like that.
in the top.
Or a Coke or a glass bottle stopper. I would say Coke. Because to use a glass bottle stopper, generally they like had sort of etching inside it. It was quite rough.
And also, of course, you're going to take it home in your bag and do a tip.
So yeah, probably Coke.
They'd probably have a bottle stopper in the large bottle, take it out, and then use a funnel, put it in, pop a cork in, take it home, and you got your
But
medicine.
you just feel like you're going to get better much quicker if you're taking your medicine from a bottle
bottle.
like that. You know, it's really.
Boots the Chemist.
Yes.
Now, of course, the advantage when you label your bottle that way is that 100 years later or whatever, the label's still there,
Yeah.
which is rare. Now, this is probably 1960s.
Yes, very messy.
It's very messy. I've given it a bit of a clean up, but of course, what I didn't want to lose was HP. That is a bottle of Houses of Parliament sauce that's been in the dump for the last 60 years.
Amazing, isn't it? To think that it's still got a bit of the label on.
And that's what the ash does. It seems to protect it, doesn't it? In a weird way. It seems to keep it dry.
It's supposed to work like drainage because it's quite crystallised, isn't it, ash? Where the
Yeah.
soil tends to clump together.
So there you go, yeah, and then it holds against it and it disintegrates. But there we are, that's HP. And of course, Caroline's favourite. Ooh,
It's gone, is it?
no.
Phil's just washed this, and it's so difficult to keep these labels intact.
Gravy browning. But can you see, yes you can, the Welsh lady at the top.
Just a second, I'll put this behind there.
There's the Welsh lady, look, see, with her hat and the lace and the Welsh shawl. We had a question about that 2 weeks ago because obviously we'd found a Welsh doll all dressed up. And there's the Welsh lady on something which we don't see in many parts of the world.
No,
But
it's very difficult to buy gravy browning if you're not in Wales.
actually, I had a business idea once. Because I went to France and no one sold gravy browning, I was going to open a chain of restaurants called the Gravy Boat. And I was going to do them with portals all around the room with pictures in. And there was going to be, you buy your food and big gravy boats full of gravy in the middle. And when you finished your food, you could have a slice of bread to clean your plate. Because that, I don't know if they do it anywhere else. But boy, we do it in Wales.
We don't do it everywhere in Wales. I've never seen anybody do this.
Well, they had a shock because I went, the first time I went when we were boyfriend and girlfriend,
No.
43 years ago,
Long time ago.
went to her mum's and we had dinner, which was a bit of a shock because her mum cooked dinner slightly differently to my mum. And when I finished my food, I said, could I have a slice of bread, please? And they all look. Yes. And I put it on the plate, slice it. My plate looked like it had just been washed because I cleaned the plate with the bread and ate the gravy. In our house, in the evening, that would be a meal. If Mum would make extra gravy at dinner time and we could have bread and gravy for supper. The next time they had food, your baby sister wanted bread to go in her gravy.
Got to be like Philip.
But yeah, I was thinking of doing that, getting the Gravy Boat and having a franchise of restaurants throughout Britain, bringing the taste of real gravy, not that muck they sell in the shops in crystals, a proper stuff made from the proper things with gravy browning. And I tell you what, if there's no gravy browning in gravy, and we've had to do this once or twice, it don't taste the same.
Oh no.
Because it's the wrong
We're
colour.
used to it being brown. I know, I've seen some pictures of people in America, and your gravy tends to be a lot lighter than ours. It is very pale looking. But because we eat with our eyes a lot, we've always had dark brown gravy. And so to see white gravy is just really weird.
It is indeed. Right, I've got a question. Do you want to do a question? Because we're pre-recording these, I look at the clock and it means nothing, so I don't know how we're doing on the number of questions.
We need to finish, according to our time, ignore this, we need to be finished by 1:45.
Right.
I think.
So we're all right because we've got this question and one more. This question is not regarding a find, but it's regarding that lovely walk that we took with our friends Lynn and Graham, who were down from Yorkshire, a walk along the canal. Because canals are fantastic places. As I mentioned, they are now primarily for leisure, but not totally. Because when we were up in the Manchester area, the Manchester-Liverpool Canal has now seen a massive increase in the business of transportation. And I think, I'm trying to remember, Graham mentioned, I think it was Tesco's are looking at moving some products by canal. So more and more people are saying, if we can move it from one city to another by canal, and then just take it by lorry to the place, how they can reduce their carbon footprint by doing this. But leisure is a big thing. But the world's business would grind to a halt if it wasn't for some canals that we still have in use, you know. It is phenomenal how great they are, how wonderful they were at the time. They've been superseded, but who knows? We may end up back there.
Could well do.
The way the world is going. So my simple question is this. Which of these canals is the longest?
Oh, I know this one.
A, the Suez Canal, B, the Grand Canal, or C, the Panama Canal?
That's really difficult. I know what I'm going for, and it's probably completely irrational and silly, but I know what I'm going for. Oh, I was right!
There you go. There you go. Well done.
As long as we talk about the same one.
We're probably not. We're probably not. The Suez Canal? Do you think that's the longest? Or the Grand Canal? This one's in China, by the way. And the Panama Canal.
That's not where I was.
No, you were in Venice.
I was. I was thinking the Grand Canal in Venice.
Ah, what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
I was thinking, but it did wind a bit.
Yeah, what are you thinking? Which of these canals is the longest?
The Grand Canal.
The clue is in the name.
Not in Venice.
Yeah. There's a Grand Canal in China, which is, I believe, and I'm going from memory, so please don't quote me on this, something in the order of 1,700 kilometres. It's massive. It's massive.
It's longer than the Grand Canal in Venice.
It's because a canal is a waterway that has been adapted by human means in order to transport. And that means sometimes they will put in a canal like we were walking on, but on other occasions they will make a river navigable by digging out the bottom and building the sides. And joining all up, they've made this huge canal. So the Grand Canal, there we go, that's the longest. So if you went with B, if I didn't catch you out by having B as the answer 3 times in a row.
Sneaky.
How many of you noticed that? The answer's been B.
Lexi B's doing okay because she
usually goes with, I don't know, I'll go with the B in my name. You're doing brilliantly, Lex. If you went B for the last 3, you've had 3 in a row. There we go. Grand Canal. It's the longest. What else have we got for finds? Let's have a look at. Oh, these are interesting. Yes. Do you remember we found this? There we go. Dettol. But Caroline noticed. Well, at first she didn't. At first, Caroline thought you said London because you didn't have your glasses on, do you, love?
But of course, looked like an L.
It's actually got. Is it tablespoons on the side? If I can, that would be hard to read.
No, it's teaspoons.
Teaspoons, is it?
Oh, wait a minute. It's not teaspoon one side.
It's tablespoons.
Ah, so that side says tablespoons. And that side says. No, I think I may be upside down. Teaspoons, yes, it is.
Teaspoons and tablespoons. That's clever, isn't it?
Yeah, because normally they've either got. I'm used to seeing the cough medicine bottles that have got tablespoons or teaspoons.
They're doing both.
Oh.
And what's more, this one was full of dirt and muck. And look at the crazing on that glass. Isn't that gorgeous? Lovely, isn't that gorgeous? But now I've cleaned it. Look, this has got exactly the same on it. It's got the same markings, see? But the interesting thing is, yet again, we've got that flat top, whereby we've got a screw lid here and a raised top there, which we had on a bottle the other day, didn't we? There we go, it's this one here. Yeah. Just show you. 2 weeks ago was the first time we noticed a screw with this flat lid on the top there. And of course, we also found this when we were down the dump. And now I've cleaned it. That was the top, obviously a screw top off a very large bottle. That's quite a significant sized amber bottle. That would have been a boot if we'd found the whole thing. But if you look at the top, that bears out my theory. Because my theory is that inside the screw-on lid, there was a rubber seal that sat against that flat. And why I say that bears out my theory is on bathroom fittings and such like, the rubber seals quite often when you squash, say a plug hole, you put in the actual plug hole in and you put in a bolt to hold it flat, they will have those lines. So I'm wondering if those lines indicate that there was a rubber washer there, because whatever was in here, say that bottle held acid, you would not want it to spill. So when you screwed it on, it put that seal there. That's my theory at the moment. Do you like my theory?
I do. It's impressive theory.
As I said in the video, I do like a good theory.
Oh, you do. Right, I'm going to show you one of my finds now on this.
Oh,
I know I never get tired of finding them. It's that bit of pipe stem. It definitely is. If I show you the end there, I don't know if you can see the focusing, but you can see there's definitely a hole running right through it. Not very central, but there is a hole. And I absolutely love finding pipe stems. It's just a hole. It just looks like a lump of clay. But who owned that? Who was it that smoked? How old were they? Were they a child? Because some children as young as 4 were smoking pipes a long time ago.
Well, we had a friend who's now nearly 90, and they started at 6.
Yep. So
they've given up now. Fair play, they've given up.
And also, how did they break that pipe? Was it? And did they just throw it away because they'd been given a free one when they bought some tobacco or from a company, or did they break it when they were rushing
fragile,
to work,
I'd
or
imagine.
did their child pick it up and snap it, and they were in big trouble?
Quite fragile. I tell you what I did notice is how close that hole.
It only just made it.
Yeah, we say a hole in the middle, but that is nowhere near the middle.
No.
That was a close to being a reject. That.
Yes. I would imagine though before they fired them, if they were a reject, they just stick it back on the big bowl of clay and then make another one.
Again, yeah. That sounds sensible. That sounds sensible.
That really makes me happy. I know, I'm strange.
Yeah, and your Shipham's jar there, the one with the paint in.
Right.
That I give it a wash, but I was careful. In fact, the paint didn't come out when I washed it, but you can see it clearly now.
Somebody's used that to keep the paint in, or to use paint from.
Because that
Probably
was
an enamel paint, I would have thought.
Because like Caroline was just sort of imagining how the pipe may have got broken, one of the things we felt on this one was like finding that pot. Caroline does craft, and Caroline uses the pots that we find for various purposes to keep you watering if you're doing watercolours and all sorts. And to think that somebody 60 years ago had their paint mixed in that, doing their craft. Or maybe even touching up the corner of their golden car, I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
But whatever it was, somebody was utilising that. And of course, the other one that we found on this occasion that made me smile, because it's something that I remember my mum doing when I was a kid. She would, before chucking a jar in the bin, she'd chuck things in the jar, use it on the side to keep things in. And somebody had had an egg for breakfast and put the shell in a jar, put the jar in the bin. The jar fell in the dump, and 60 years later, I pull out the jar and the eggshell rolled out. Now, we can't show you the eggshell because when I tried to pick it up again, it started to fall apart my hand. It virtually disintegrated, that shell, because it's biodegradable. You know, nature makes everything biodegradable. But those little moments of social history.
Lovely.
They are. Oh, do we need to do the last question?
We do.
Are we at that point in time?
Yeah.
Here we go, folks, and it is linked to Dettol, which is the company that made these magical bottles with their tablespoons and teaspoons marked on either side. Invented in 1933, Dettol was used in hospitals to disinfect specifically before babies were delivered,
Right.
because they had a massive problem with sepsis being contracted in the delivery wards. Within 4 years, the rate of sepsis during birth was reduced by how much?
Ooh.
Do you think it was reduced by 15%, 39%, or 50%?
Right, so go if you haven't gone. Sorry, we keep forgetting to say go.
What do you think?
Oh, well, I got that right.
What do you think in 4 years, the use of Dettol disinfectant, do you think it reduced the incidence of sepsis during childbirth by 15? That's A. 39, that's B. Or 50%, that's C. What's your thoughts on that one? Because obviously it's popular. My mum still swears by Dettol. Absolutely. All of the generation do. What are you thinking?
Right, so what is the answer?
50%.
I guess, right. I'm thinking if at the end of the day, this is an effective thing, and if you're going to suddenly start using it after not using it, it's going to have a pretty major
The interesting
change.
thing is, though, in 1933, I would have thought they were disinfecting, but this disinfectant
Dettol was
must
stronger.
have been more effective against the bacteria, and that's why I think it took off. That's why Mam swears by it, because it was probably in the news around that time.
I remember my gran, if I was at my gran's and we had to have a bath, she'd always put Dettol in the bath water, and it used to turn all white and cloudy in the bath water. I stunk of Dettol afterwards.
Because, of course, that was 1933. Mum was born in 1934. So my mum would have come into the world and been a beneficiary of this discovery. Because my mum was born just a year after that, because Mum's 87 now. So as that discovery would have contributed, and I'm sure that her mum would have been told, you know, how much safer it is now because of this new stuff they've got. And when it became available in the shops, then it explains why it became, and still is.
Did your granny used to put it in your bath?
I can't remember.
No.
No.
Does anybody else have Dettol in their bath when they were little?
I remember.
Or even now?
I remember one thing about my granny's house. Yeah. Toilet was out the porch next door to the coal house, and they didn't have toilet paper. They had ripped up newspapers on a nail on the back of the door.
Tied onto a piece, thread onto a piece of string.
There you go. I remember that. So there we go, folks. If you went with 50%, well done. Pat yourself on the back.
Congratulations.
And as I say, we're not really here at the moment, so we'll be typing away and putting up the winners. But I think our show is possibly come to an end.
It is, and so thank you all for joining us. Oh, you've got a quick announcement
I've got a quick announcement before we go. As I mentioned last week, the sad news of the loss of AD, who passed away on the 4th of September, AD Smith, always in the chat. We have put a comment up on the community page. If you want to add your comments there, we're using it a little bit like a book of remembrance, but more celebration of the man and the times we shared together. So if you'd like to put something nice there, feel free, because we just thought it'd be nice for everyone to have the opportunity who used to chat to him to say something. So that'll be there on the community tag. Have a look at our community page. There we go. Yep. Now we can say bye-bye.
So so we will be with you actually live next week. We're back off our holidays. And we're not so much for being back off our holidays, but I could quite happily live in France.
Mixed blessings.
Yes, but it will be lovely to be there and be able to interact with your chat again. We just really do enjoy chatting with you.
And hopefully there'll be a French video out before we see you on live. De baguette, s'il vous plaît. Right then, we better say bye-bye.
So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Until then, don't forget,
have fun. Bye.